is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Southwest.
Your Rangers losing streak ended in a big way with an offensive display as spectacular as last night's thunderstorm. You knew the offense was due for a big game. This lineup is just too good to keep down for long. And you could say that Martin Perez is due for a big game as well. While still looking for his first win of the early season, Perez has pitched well and kept the Rangers in the game. Tonight he hopes to bring a win and a series victory over the New York Yankees. Texas Rangers baseball is presented by AT&T High-Speed Internet. Well, in stark contrast to last night's humid and windy night, tonight a delightful evening at Globe Life Park as your Texas Rangers look for the series win over the New York Yankees. And welcome in everyone, along with Tom Greaves, Steve Busby. Delighted you could join us on this Wednesday night of Ranger baseball, and hope all of you are safe and sound after last night's stormy weather after the ball game. Fortunately, Rangers though kicked up a storm during the game. They're looking for more of that tonight. An interesting pitching matchup. Young left-hander in Martin Perez, a veteran left-hander in CC Sabathia.
No doubt about it. 35 years old, Buzz. CC's not quite the same pitcher he used to be, but any given night, he's capable of tuning up an excellent ball game. He's tougher on lefties than he is on righties. Jeff Bannister has all his right-hand hitters in the lineup. Martin Perez hasn't won yet. He lost his last start in Chicago, but he's right on the verge of pitching an excellent ball game. He's keeping the ball down. His stuff has been good. All he needs is a break here, a break there, some runs behind him, and he could be off to the races. Hopefully it starts tonight.
Hopefully it does, and hopefully the Rangers offense keeps it cranked up. The season high 10 runs scored last night. Martin would take a few of those tonight also. Yeah, Rougned Odor and looks like Hanser Alberto getting loose and doing their pregame warm-ups. We'll have the starting lineup to the first pitch right after this. brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today for incredible deals and see why Ford is the best in Texas. By AT&T high-speed internet. Get a deal worth talking about. Get high-speed internet from AT&T. By Budweiser. Not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Well, a great evening here in North Texas tonight, and let's send it down and say hello to Emily Jones. Em?
Well, Buzz, Martin Perez still in search of his first win of 2016 here tonight. Some of those circumstances as to those non-decisions or losses have not been entirely under Martin's control. He has been the victim of low run support over the last few starts and some hits and misses by the bullpen. However, he says it's important to stay focused and also to maintain his game plan.
Just throw the ball where I want it and make my pitches, throw quality pitches, and throw the pitch where I want it and get a for double play or quick out. So that's all. Don't put too much pressure on myself or my mind, because mainly I feel good now, and just go out there and compete and enjoying what I'm doing.
And while all the breaks haven't gone Martin's way, he has been the recipient and the beneficiary of some very good defense. Of course, being such a ground ball pitcher, that of course is very important. His infield has come up big for him. So he realizes that there are ebbs and flows as far as baseball is concerned. And he's seen both of them early on this season, guys.
All right, and thanks very much. Yep, it has been a rather rocky road, not necessarily of Martin's doing, but hopefully he'll turn that around tonight. The Rangers will give him a little support. Well, Martin out on the hill, and now Tom's going to tell you about the New York Yankee lineup that he will face.
The Yankees will start off with Jacoby Ellsbury in center field. Brett Gardner is the left fielder. Carlos Beltran is third, followed by the first baseman Mark Teixeira. Alex Rodriguez back in the lineup. He'll be the DH. Brian McCann is the catcher. Starlin Castro is at second. Chase Headley gets the start at third. He'll bat eighth. And batting ninth is the shortstop, Didi Gregorius.
And that lineup will face the 25-year-old left-hander Martin Perez. And his fifth start of the season. We've talked about the 0-2 mark, a 4.50 ERA. 24 innings of work under his belt, and 6 innings on average every time out. So he has been the model of consistency as far as getting a team deep into the ballgame and giving them an opportunity to win. And that has been the big thing. The Rangers have scored fewer runs from Martin than anybody else in the starting rotation. So hopefully they'll turn that around tonight. It looked like last night with the bats heating up after a rather frigid trip to Chicago that things are back where they should be offensively. Up and down the order last night. It was a great team effort by the Ranger offense. Well, the Yankees come in at 8-11 this year. They have only won 4 of their last 10. They're 3-4 on the road, and they are in last place in that American League East, 3 games behind Baltimore. And A.J. Griffin, who last year really did an outstanding job getting his 3rd win. Strong innings of work. Now the Ranger defense tonight, we will show you. It's brought to you by DeMonstron RV. Desmond DeShields and Mazzara, left, center, and right. Hanser Alberto gets the start at first base. Rougned Odor at second. Elvis Andrus, Adrian Beltre patrol the left side of the diamond. And Brian Holiday back behind the plate. He will be working with Martin Perez. Rangers, meanwhile, tied for second. They and Oakland are both a half game behind the front-running Seattle Mariners. Rangers are 11-10. They're 7-4 after just a 1-2 start here at home. So they've turned things around, and they have evened the series, this season series, against the Yankees. Rangers have had very good success the last 3 years against the Yankees, and they hope to continue that success here tonight. Final game of this 3-game series. Rangers looking to win the series here at home, continue a good streak that has seen them won 6 of the last 8 ball games here at Globe Life Park in Arlington. So we're ready to get underway. Jacoby Ellsbury will step in. Ellsbury at .253 average. 1 home run. That came here on Monday night. And he has driven in 8. See, against Martin Perez, Ellsbury 2 for 4. Martin started that game here last year that was a disaster. 21 runs put up on the board for the Yankees, and 8 of them were against Martin in just over an inning of work. And he fires strike one right at the bottom of the zone. That is a good sign. I don't think he got any of those low fastballs called for a strike his last time out in Chicago. Really tied up Ellsbury with that pitch running down and into him, and it's very quickly 0-2.
Buzz, I have to correct something. Ronald Torreyes is the shortstop batting ninth, not D.D. Gregorius, as I stated earlier.
Okay, thank
you. For the people keeping score at home, hope you're using pencil. If not, I apologize.
Yeah. And if you're like me and use pen, you have to use whiteout. That's all. That's the only choice you have.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I'll be using my pencil with the eraser.
Last time out was that game in Chicago against the White Sox, a 5-0 whitewashing. Rangers' first game of that series really had the offense clamped down upon. White Sox did it the entire series, and Rangers scored a grand total of 4 runs in the 3 games. Came back, scored 1 run here against the Yankees on Monday night, and everybody was starting to say, well, what happened to that offense? All it took was a warm night to get everything going last night as they broke out with a season-high 10 runs against New York pitching. 2-2, the count to Ellsbury. Martin Perez was the only time that he has faced the Yankees. That game last July right here at Globe Life Park. Their chopper foul. Our Kubota Power Stats talking about that game last July here. 8 earned runs in 1 inning by Martin Perez. That was the 28th of July. 7 home starts since. He has been much improved, 3-0. And Martin missing low and outside, so he's gone from 0-2 to 3-2 to Jacoby Ellsbury. Ellsbury batting leadoff. Brett Gardner, the left fielder, will follow. Brian Holiday flashing the signs out. And now the payoff pitch. Got him swinging. Down out of the strike zone, but Ellsbury not able to lay off. There is out number 1.
Martin made a lot of good pitches with his fastball in that at bat. He jammed him. Ellsbury got a couple of foul balls, the best he could do with those inside fastballs. And then a good sinker at 93 miles an hour, and you'll get a perfect view of the ball going underneath the bat. Out of the strike zone, that ball had a lot of movement on it. Almost looked like a slider. That was a 93-mile-an-hour sinker.
So 1 away with a punch out. Here's Brett Gardner. Gardner, a .271 hitter with a couple of home runs as he takes strike 1. Brett, 4 RBI this year. .403 on-base percentage. He is an on-base machine, if you will. Used to be the Yankees had about 7 guys in the lineup that were like that out of the 9 that they sent up there. Not quite so much anymore with Joe Girardi's club now aging, and I would say gracefully, but sometimes it's not gracefully. Teixeira and Headley and even McCann and Rodriguez, Beltran. All guys getting up there just a bit. 0-2. That's what you call fighting off a pitch.
Yeah, good velocity by Martin early in the game. 94 miles an hour last 3 pitches. Left-hand hitters early in the season are only 3 for 16 against Martin. Make it 3 for 17 after the strikeout of Ellsbury to start the game.
Call strike 3.
No argument on that one. Big fastball.
Caught him window shopping, and that was right on the outside corner. Fielder Culbreth, the home plate umpire, ringing it up.
12 pitches, 9 strikes. Good velocity, good location.
Brian Holiday set outside and even off the plate outside. He had to reach back to get that ball on the corner. No, 2 away, and here is the switch hitting Carlos Beltran. Pretty well place. You know, one of the reasons that catchers will set up out there off the plate a little bit, when you're going across the plate for the outside pitch, you tend to get more calls if the umpire sees it in the middle of your body. And when you set up out there, if it's right on the corner, you're catching it. And then if it's back over the plate a little bit, you're actually moving your glove back toward the middle of the plate, so the umpire gets a much better view instead of trying to look over the catcher. 0-2 pitch. Did he go around? Yes, he did.
That's a pretty good start.
Martin Perez, 3 consecutive punch-outs. The Yankees gone in order. We played a half inning at Globe Life Park. Yankees nothing. Rangers coming up on Fox Sports Southwest. Three strikeouts by Martin Perez. Tom now is going to tell you about the Southwest Airlines Rangers batting order.
Delino DeShields batted 9th last night. He's leading off today. Nomar Mazara's batting second. Adrian Beltre hitting an even .300 is batting third. Ian Desmond gets an opportunity to bat cleanup, tied for third with 17 runs in the American League. Ryan Rua will DH and bat fifth. Rugi's at second base, Elvis is at shortstop, Hanser Alberto gets the start at first base, and Brian Holiday is the catcher.
And Delino DeShields, after a 3-day absence, back up at that top spot. Delino a .229 average, a home run and 4 driven in. And Sabathia hits the inside corner. It's 1-1. CC, a 35-year-old left-hander, the active leader in strikeouts among major league pitchers, approaching 2,600. Lost something off the fastball, but still a very talented starting pitcher. Relies now more on guile than ever before. There's part of that, the breaking ball that he will drop in. CC, very much a chore to handle, even without that blazing fastball that he featured. A Cy Young Award winner back in 2007 with the Cleveland Indians. This is 21st start against the Texas Rangers. And the pitch a bit low. It's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Mentioned Delino struggling just a bit of late. 0 for 7 in this series and just 1 for his last 23. And I don't think it's any coincidence that his struggles kind of paralleled the Rangers' struggle starting in Chicago. Eyeballs that pitch outside. The count has gone full, so Delino trying to get aboard to start things off. Nomar Mazara is in that on-deck circle. Little looping drive out to the second baseman Castro, and that is out number 1. Well, with Mazara coming up, let's take a look at the Yankee defense, brought to you by T-Mobile this evening. Outfield, the same as it was last night. Gardner, Ellsbury, and Beltran left, center, and right. Infield, Teixeira and Castro on the right side. Ronald Torres is at short, and Chase Headley at third with Brian McCann behind the plate. So 1 out, and here is Mazara. Omar celebrated his 21st birthday yesterday. Had a couple of hits in that ball game and really ignited that Ranger onslaught right at the top of the order, and he got things going. Highest average among American League rookies. Omar Mazara with that .365 average. Matter of fact, he had .426 on base percentage, right near the top also in rookie statistics. A ball and a strike. There's the overshift that the Yankees employ. Well, we've seen just about every left-handed hitter. They've thrown the shift up there. Mazara beat it last night for one of his singles. Hit it through the shortstop hole. And see if he can do the same with Sabathia. Two balls and a strike. Check swing. The pitch is inside. Well, the first 2 hitters have gone three balls to Sabathia.
Omar definitely makes you throw him strikes. Usually a left-hand hitter, 21 years old, be a little intimidated by a left-handed pitcher's breaking ball, but he doesn't have much of a problem laying off it.
And he lays off that for ball 4. Omar with the 1-out walk is aboard for the middle of the order.
The left-hand hitters, going back to last year and into this year, hitting in the 180s. Right-hand hitters hitting in the 300s. That's why Mitch Moreland, Prince Fielder, Brett Nicholas all getting the day off today. Gives Prince and Mitch today and the off day, a couple of days off really. And gives an opportunity for Ryan Rua to get some at bats, and also Hanser Alberto.
Adrian Beltre steps in. Beltre hitting at an even 300. The breaking ball just nibbles on the outside corner for strike 1. Beltre just 8 for 34 in his career with 1 home run against Sabathia. He has been swinging a hot bat for almost the entire season up to this point. 3 multiple hit games in his last 7. 1-1. For the most part, hitters that have been around as long as Sabathia has, or for a number of years, are hitting against reputation right now. They're trying to figure out what Sabathia is doing differently to compensate for the loss of velocity and the incumbent loss of the snap on the breaking ball. Sabathia used to have one of the better cut fastballs around too, and then when you lose the velocity, that cut fastball isn't quite as effective as it once was. But Sabathia has also lost that good hard sinker. Larry Rothschild, the pitching coach for the Yankees. 2-1 to Beltre. Headley to second. Return to first, not in time. Adrian able to beat it out. Headley playing deep, and by the time the ball got to him and he got his throw to second, that's not enough time for the Yankees to turn it over.
Joe's right. He's going to check with his people in the clubhouse. Look at the monitor, see what they think. Looked like he was safe from here.
Yep.
No review on that one.
No, Beltre aboard on the fielder's choice, 2 away, and here's Ian Desmond. Desmond, with that home run last night, now has moved into a tie with Odor and Beltre for the team leadership. All 3 of them have 3 home runs. Desmond had just been on fire lately. Well, once he got things turned around, you knew it was going to get better, but he's trying to make up for all the lost ground in a span of about 10 days. And he's doing a pretty good job of it. 3 home runs, 8 RBI, and you go back over the last 8 ball games, he's been a .400 hitter. He's got Beltre at first with 2 outs in the first. And a lazy fly ball to right for Beltran, and that'll do it. Well, the Rangers get a walk, but leave a runner. We played 1 at Globe Life Park. Rangers nothing, Yankees nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Nice crowd filing into Globe Life Park tonight. Rain, or threat of rain, kind of kept the walk-up crowd and kept some people away last night that had already purchased tickets, but that's not the case tonight. A gorgeous evening, and the stands filling in very nicely. Here's Mark Teixeira to start things off, and he pops that first pitch foul back into the seats. 0-1. Teixeira hitting a .254 for the season. 3 home runs and 10 driven in. Teixeira comes in with a 5-game hitting streak alive. He's one of the few Yankees that's really been swinging the bat well of late. 1-1. Tex 2 out of 4 in last night's ball game. Drove in the only run for the Yankees last night. 9 hits for his last 20 times to the plate. 2-1. Over the course of those 5 games, at .450 average, 2 RBI. Like the changeup, even though it was up, the off speed had Teixeira out in front a bit.
Threw a good changeup to Beltran too for the second strike. So far 19 pitches, 14 strikes. That's what you want to see from Martin. Find that strike zone.
Yeah, that's exactly what they call that.
Toss a little curveball in there to give him something else to look at.
Perez ready to face Teixeira, who's off to a much better start right-handed this year than he is left-handed. It's outside, 3-2. Teixeira this year hitting .304 in 23 at-bats as a right-hander, just .227 from the left side. Now the payoff pitch. Lost him. Pitch down and couldn't entice Teixeira to go after it.
Batting fifth, the designated hitter, number 13, Alex Rodriguez.
Well, I'm sure A-Rod's happy he's back in the lineup. I'm sure after that greeting from the Ranger faithful, maybe not so much. Rodriguez has been out the last couple of games and that strained left oblique. Hitting 145, off to a very difficult start. Ball one on the appeal down to C.B. Bucknor at first base. Rodriguez just 2 hits in his last 19 at bats, as you can see. Rangers looking for that double play ball. 1-1. Now 2 balls and a strike.
He threw Tex a couple of pitches down and away, trying to hit that outside corner, but missing down and away with it.
Our Ford leaderboard talking about most double play groundouts per pitcher. And that would be Martin Perez leading 9 of them. And number 10 wouldn't be bad, but he's fallen behind 3 balls and a strike now to Alex Rodriguez.
Well, first inning, it was all strikes, pound the strike zone. Now you've got a couple of right-hand hitters with power up and being much more careful. Looks like he's trying to go out of his way to hit the corners, and he has a walk, and he's fallen behind 3-1.
And he lost it upstairs. Back-to-back walks open up the second inning. And Brian McCann will come up.
Batting sixth, the catcher, number 34, Brian McCann.
I agree with you, Tom. I think it's just a matter of trying to be too careful and in a situation where you really didn't need to be.
No.
I mean, Mark Teixeira and Alex Rodriguez have had great careers, but they are not nearly the hitters that they were a couple of years ago. Second and first, McCann, left-handed hitting catcher up there, a .259 average. Could turn the double play. Andrews turns it over. 4-6-3. That is double play number 31 for the Rangers and the 10th behind Martin Perez this year.
It's a great weapon. You're in trouble. 2 walks. Looking a little frustrated on the mound. Comes up with a good fastball, the inside part of the plate. McCann, after a couple of walks, goes up, swings at the first pitch. And the double play. 2/3 of the way getting out of that jam now.
You go from not feeling very good about yourself after walking the first 2 guys, saying, hey, a little extra deep breath. There we go. There we go. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, he's pitched the lefties tough. There's 3 left-hand hitters in the lineup, Ellsbury, Gardner, and McCann, and he's been able to pound them inside with a fastball pretty good.
Teixeira now at third with 2 outs. Here's Starlin Castro. Lines it to right. Mazzara coming on. The ball's going to fall. Teixeira will score. Castro didn't hit it well, but he put it in the right spot. The Yankees take a 1-0 lead.
Third baseman, number 12, Chase Headley.
So the first hit of the game for the Yankees produces a run off of Martin Perez.
Hit it right off the end of the bat. It's probably fortunate for him that he did. When you hit the ball off the end of the bat, it doesn't go as far. Dumped it in front of Nomar.
Well, here's Chase Headley, a switch hitting third baseman. 0-1. Headley, unlike Teixeira, in fact, just exactly the opposite. Only a 111 average from the right side. Overall, just 157. 0-2. RF camera roaming around Globe Life Park tonight. Down the left field line. Back in the lower section of seats. Not a bad seat in the house. Nice stop by Holiday. 1-2. Ryan Holiday back there after Brett Nicholas had caught 3 straight games. Holiday had caught 4 games in a row prior to that. Jeff Bannister inclined to give the guys consistent work over a short period of time and then let the other one get back behind the plate. Keep them both sharp that way. 2-2. Headley just a couple of hits in his last 21 times to the plate. Turned into a long inning for Martin Perez. After getting 3 punch-outs in the first inning, he has struggled a bit with command here. Right down the first baseline, a foul ball. Answer Alberto trying to shield C.B. Buckner from being able to make that call with his body, and C.B. immediately said, no, that ball's foul.
It's fair until right there.
Yep.
Sliced it. Or was curving to the right. Looks like he also broke his bat. Come back to the dugout to get a new one.
So Castro back at first. Still 2-2 with 2 outs. Martin set once again. Chase Headley came over a year before last to the Yankees from San Diego. Yangervis Solarte, former Ranger, went to San Diego. Headley then, after the 2014 season, signed a 4-year contract with the Yankees. Just off the outside corner, full count. So Headley has come back from being down 0-2 to make it 3-2. He is the number 8 hitter. Ronald Torres is in the on-deck circle should this inning continue. Castro getting set to take off on the payoff pitch. Elvis the short way and just does get the sliding Castro. No, that'll do it. The Yankees, though, get a run on a hit and leave one after an inning and a half. New York 1, Texas nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Texas Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today for incredible deals and see why Ford is the best in Texas. The Rangers trailing 1-0. Ryan Rua to start things off. Rua the DH tonight, facing CC Sabathia. Takes inside for ball one. Jeff Bannister using this opportunity with Sabathia on the mound to give both Mitch Moreland and Prince Fielder a night off. Ryan Rua getting the start at DH. 5 for 12 this year against left-handed pitching is Ryan Rua. 1-1. Rua with a hit in 4 of his last 7 plate appearances. He has gotten that bat going again like he had it going in spring training. Hit over 400 in the spring. To the right side, that is through for a base hit. So the shift giveth and the shift taketh away, and he took it away from CC. And before Rougned Odor steps in, let's say hello to Jim Knox. Knox.
All right, appreciate it, Buzz. Great crowd here tonight. Like Alice comes all the way in from El Paso. How long did it take to drive here?
10 hours.
10 hours. Good to have you out here. And how about the Anderson family in from Dallas, Highland Park? Poor mom, 5 boys. What? That's Mother of the Year right here, Buzz. Mother of the Year. Where's number 5 tonight?
He's at home studying.
That's a good mom. All right, way to go. Good to have the Anderson family out here tonight. Buzz?
All right, Knox, you're going to have one mad child on your hands, though, if he had to stay home and study. Rua at first after a leadoff single. Here's Rougned. Sinking fastball for strike one. Odor last night launched his 3rd home run of the year. Now 14 RBI. He is second on the team to Prince Fielder. Odor back down to the number 6 spot after hitting leadoff the last 3 games. Broken bat and foul down the first base side. 0-2 the count. Look at the spray chart on Ryan Rua. You wonder why there was a shift on. Well,
yeah, I'm wondering.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, there's not
There's
really
a slight advantage, I guess, to playing
Yeah.
it over there. But and also, I guess you look at the pitcher, right?
Right. And you've got to assume that when you make that kind of a move on the defense, that a hitter is not inclined to hit the ball the other way when he wants to. You know, take a guy like Sabathia who's going to sink the ball away a lot of the time, and you're assuming the hitter won't do that. Well, Rua said, the heck with you. I just take what you give me, leading off an inning. Why not? I think that might be a little bit of being a slave to some statistics that really are not borne out over time. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Rougned. Left center field. Ellsbury in a hurry. He's not going to get there. It's down for a hit. Rua rounding, going to third. The throw not in time, and Odor to second.
There's some base running right there. Ryan's looking right at him. He's looking right at Ryan. Ryan forced the throw, and Ruby took second base on it. So instead of first and third, it's second and third, and that's a nice aggressive base running.
Runners on the Rangers going first to third on singles 110 times since the start of last year. That's the most in Major League Baseball.
You see Ryan's waiting to see if it falls in, and as soon as it did, he's not even hesitating. He's pretty sure that the outfielder's arms are not strong enough to throw him out at third base from that deep.
And he processed the idea that Ellsbury is a left-handed thrower, so going to his right, Ellsbury is going to take a little longer to get rid of the ball. Elvis a chopper to third. That is not going to get the run home, as Rua had to hold. Elvis not able to get it done. That's out number 1. And it'll be up to Hanser Alberto.
That's one of the few times Elvis hasn't gotten a run in. 5:26 in runners in scoring position. That's just one of those times the pitcher got him. He's been doing a spectacular job in those situations all season long. It's up to Hanser. Infield back up the middle. Hit a ground ball up the middle. Fly ball. Base hit. Score a couple of them.
Now the Rangers come in with the second best average with runners in scoring position in the American League. They're hitting .301. The Orioles leading at .315. The infield back. And a chopper foul. Answer, as you saw, 143 average, looking for his first RBI of the year. Getting his first start tonight at first base, and he had played first base in winter ball quite a bit. So this is not a new spot for him. It is the big leagues, but not in his mind about the mechanics of playing first. Sabathia from the stretch with runners at second and third. Jumps ahead in the count, 0-2 to Alberto. So you see Sabathia as a Yankee has really put up some great numbers in a very storied franchise. He's also one of just 10 pitchers since 1900 to have at least 200 starts with two different teams, the Yankees and Cleveland. Off the fist, back to Sabathia. He looked the runner back, and that coming down the line, scoring was Rua. Throw to third, safe. And he came off the bag and was tagged by Headley. Well, the run scores as Rua made a great base running play. Sabathia checked him back, and when Sabathia turned to throw to first, Rua took off and slid across home with the tying run. Now we're going to hang on here for a second as Odor was trying to advance from second to third as that play unfolded. And it was ruled that he came off the bag, and that's going to stand up. So no challenge here. But Rangers come back to tie the ball game after two. Rangers 1, Yankees 1 on Fox Sports Southwest. Well, 1-1 ball game. Rangers with some great base running by Ryan Rua, able to scratch out a run to tie things up. Ronald Torres putting a charge into one to center, but the liner to Shields has the range to go back and get it. That is out number 1.
Oh, Ronald Torreyes is swinging the bat early in the season. He doesn't have a lot of at-bats. Coming into the game, he was hitting .471. He was 8 for 17. 8 for 18 now, but a well struck out.
Martin Perez might have had his heart started on when you heard the crack of that bat, but it was a strike, and
it was a strike. He got him out.
Yep, kept it in the ballpark. Better than the 2 walks that started the second inning for him. And he goes back to the top of the order now for Jacoby Ellsbury.
Boy, he's able to get the ball in on Ellsbury and Gardner nicely. You keep it in there and make them swing at it. They're not going to have a whole lot of luck. Good pitch.
Ellsbury had to see about 5 pitches in there. He fouled a couple of them off and hits this one to the right side. Nice diving stop by Rugnet, who fires to first. What a play by Odor.
It looked like he was shading him a little bit that way. Got off to a good start with a dive and took a base hit away from Ellsbury. Hit the ball pretty hard. That's some quickness right there. Good play.
Well, the defense again coming up big behind Martin Perez. And he turns into a cheerleader, which you should as a pitcher. You make sure those guys know you appreciate them. No, 2 outs. Brett Gardner called out on strikes in the first on a 3-2 pitch up there. 1 ball, no strikes. Gardner, as we mentioned the other night, has really loved hitting here in Globe Life Park. This is his 24th career game. He's been a .313 hitter with 18 runs scored, 5 home runs, and 9 driven in. Go back to that game last July in this ballpark. Gardner was one of the Yankees that went crazy. Hits one high in the air down the right field line. Plenty of time if Mazzara has room. He does, and that'll do it. So a 1-2-3 inning. Couple of fly balls and a great defensive play on a grounder. 2.5 in the books. Rangers won, Yankees won. Fox Sports Southwest. Play division rival Los Angeles Angels this Saturday, and it's also Captain and Friends Mascot Weekend. First 7,500 kids 13 and under get a Rangers captain t-shirt jersey presented by Fanatics. You can get your tickets at TexasRangers.com, or you can call 972 Rangers for that great promotion. Brian Holiday, the number 9 hitter, leading things off against CC Sabathia here for the Rangers. Bottom of the 3rd inning. Brian Holiday hitting an even 200 with 3 RBI. Two balls, no strikes. Holiday in his career, at least in the regular season, has never faced CC Sabathia. Way outside and high. 3 balls, no strikes. Well, Holiday trying to get aboard in that number 9 slot, the top of the order, and Delino DeShields waits. Ball 4. 4-pitch walk. You won't see Sabathia do that very often. At least you wouldn't have. I don't know what the adjustments have been. Well, before Delino steps in, let's send it over to Dana Larson for a Chevy game break. All right, Dana, thank you. Delino pushing a butt. This ought to be interesting. Foot race down there, and just in time to Castro. Nice feed by Teixeira. Castro did a good job anticipating and getting over there in time to take that feed. Holiday, though, advanced to scoring position by the sacrifice.
That was a very nice job by Castro getting over there. You could see how alertly and how quickly in the jump that he got to get over there. He really wasn't cheating until he saw him attempt to bunt. Then he sprinted over there. Otherwise, there's no play. There's no way Sabathia could have beat him, and no way Teixeira could have gotten to him. Heads up play right there by Castro.
Now Nomar Mazara in there with Holiday at second and 1 out. Mazara drew a walk his first time up and takes strike 1 here. Nomar, as we showed you, that on-base percentage was .426 entering the game. It's shot up a few points with that first inning walk. 5-game hitting streak for the young man. .368 over those 5 games. 1 ball and 1 strike. There are the numbers for that streak that Nomar has going. A home run, an RBI for him. Now Sabathia checks second. 1-2. And pulled the string a little bit on the breaking ball. We've said Nomar doesn't really mind hitting with 2 strikes, and that average would bear out why he doesn't. You know, .333 average, 8th highest in Major League Baseball, and you know, to not mind hitting with 2 strikes, you've had to have had some success so that you don't mind it. You get punched out or don't put the ball in play very well, that you kind of worry about getting to 2 strikes.
And generally, you wouldn't expect to see a 21-year-old on that list, especially one without an extensive amount of time at AAA in the minor leagues.
Check swing. Did he go around? Yes, he did. Well, Sabathia tied him up. Pretty good sequence of pitches there.
Yep.
First strikeout for Sabathia. 2 gone. Now Adrian Beltre coming up.
Now he followed up the slider away with a good fastball on the inside, maybe just slightly inside. Kind of like the pitch that Martin Perez has thrown to Ellsbury and Gardner a couple of times. That's a tough combination. Lefty to a lefty. Slider away and a fastball in.
Well, here's Adrian, who grounded into a fielder's choice back in the first inning. 0-1. Beltre, who in last night's ball game went 1 for 4 with a double. Last 17 ball games for the Ranger third sacker, a .323 average. All 3 of his home runs in those 17 games. Base hit left center. That's going to score Holiday. Gardner will throw into second. Beltre with the RBI base hit. The Rangers take the lead at 2-1.
Something the Rangers have been doing very well early in the season, getting those base hits with men in scoring position. The average coming into the game was over 300, led by Elvis and Rugi. But everybody's chipping in. Big 2-out hit with a man on second base. The fastball looked like inside part of the plate, base hit to left.
Well, Beltre with his 13th run driven in this year. Well, the Rangers now 2 runs on 3 hits against Sabathia. Here's Ian Desmond, who flied out to right field the first time. 0-1. Desmond, 8 RBI. He has turned that around pretty well. 7 RBI in his last 8 ball games. That change up and will turn me over. Here's a look from right down the left field line. There's the gate down there. The grounds crew and other personnel are back there behind that, just in fair territory. Call it the garage door. That's right down in left field, right in the corner. 0-2 to Desmond. High chopper. It's going to be a tough play, and it's going to be a base hit. And Chase Headley, the third baseman, was playing deep, and Sabathia running over there probably gave Headley a little pause for thought. Do I really want him to run into that big guy?
I don't think he does.
No.
Sabathia can't get to it. Headley was going to have a hard time picking that ball up on the hop that it took and making any kind of a throw, especially with Desmond running.
Well, 2 on with 2 outs. Let's check in with Emily Jones.
You guys talked about the turnaround by Ian Desmond, the noticeable differences and changes not lost on his manager, guys.
A little more comfortable on this ball club, more than anything else. So just, kind of exhaling and said, you know what, let me just be 1 of 25. Let me just add value, contribute. I don't have to, make big things happen every single at bat.
And familiarity breeds success in this case, especially for Ian Desmond. Vanny mentioned him being more comfortable, and you can see that not only here on the field, but also in the clubhouse, getting used to his new surroundings, not just there, but also in the outfield, guys.
Thanks, Em. Well, Desmond, very much a contributor, and that's all he wanted to do, and well, he is doing it, and doing it well right now. Well, the hit batter as Rua took a pitch inside. Ryan had singled and scored his first time out. So the Rangers, with 2 outs, now have loaded the bases, and they were awfully good last night with 2 outs. 9 of the 10 runs the Rangers scored last night came with 2 outs. Matter of fact, in that 5-run third inning, they did not have a runner on with 2 outs. Ended up getting 6 guys aboard and scoring 5 of them.
The Rangers have had 5 innings this year where they've scored 5 runs or more. No one else has done that in baseball. So they're capable of putting a big inning together, and got a shot for it right here.
Odor singled to left center field his first time. That ball's hammered, but it's pulled foul. Way back into the second deck.
He can turn on an inside fastball.
That he can.
We're the best of them, boy. Well, he's trying to get it in. He did. And tough pitch to keep fair. He definitely had long-range distance on it, though.
Yeah, that's the kind of result that'll have the catcher come out and talk to you. Hey, look.
Maybe we better go away with him.
Yeah, throw him something that he can't make contact with, because I'm deaf here right now from the sound of that one. 0-1 to Odor. Bases full of Rangers. A run across, 2 outs here in the 3rd inning. Rangers have not had a grand slam this year. Off the fist, little looper, and it's fouled to Sheriff. Couldn't get over there in time.
Boy, hit a 400-foot foul ball, and then almost a 110-foot blooper for a couple of runs batted in. Just barely foul. Nice try by Tex.
And that's a pretty good look at what a veteran pitcher will do. You know, you'd think a guy hits a ball 400 feet foul, just pulls it foul on an inside fastball. Hey, I got to go away from him. No, you come back further inside and say, here, see if you can put that one in play.
Yeah.
And you got the jam shot. 0-2 pitch from Sabathia. Rolled weakly out to second, and that'll do it for the Rangers. But they do take the lead. They get a run on 2 hits and leave them loaded. We're going to go to the 4th inning here at Globe Life Park in Arlington. Rangers on top of the Yankees 2-1.
The Rangers up 2-1, and we often hear about Rangers out in the community, but recently the Hamels Foundation brought the community to Globe Life Park in Arlington, and Cole talks about why he and his wife Heidi decided to start their own foundation.
My wife and I are firm believers in giving back to the community. We really wanted to support education. That was our firm belief. We thought that we could hope to empower youth with providing the necessary resources that most were not able to have so that they could achieve their goals and aspire to their career levels that they would like to be and see themselves.
Education obviously very important to the Hamels family, and I'm not sure if you guys know this, but are you aware of what Cole Hamels scored on his SAT?
No.
It's It starts with a 1 and a 5. I can't remember the two numbers after that, but
That's high enough.
1,500 plus.
That's high enough. It can be 1,500 even.
Yeah.
I'll buy that. I'll buy 2 quick outs in the 4th inning, too.
Yeah, a couple of line drives going the other way, and thank you very much. Beltran and Teixeira have offers. Bases empty, 2 away, and judging by the reaction of the crowd, you got Alex Rodriguez coming up. A-Rod drew a walk back in the 2nd inning. Our steel pitch tracker all set to show you the variations of location. On the inside corner that time by Martin. 0-1. Hit pretty well to left field. Desmond back at the wall. That ball's gone. Alex Rodriguez, his 3rd home run of the year. The Yankees have come back to tie this game at 2.
Try to get that ball a little bit more down than that, and a little bit more away than that. Instead, it looked like it cut back right through the middle of the plate. Still have to hit it. Alex put a charge in it.
Well, here's Brian McCann, who grounded into a double play his first time. Well, Rodriguez, despite hitting just 145, can still pick on a cripple pitch, and that it was exactly what that was. 1 ball and 1 strike to McCann.
Boy, he's just keeping it right in there.
Sure is.
McCann keeps hacking away at it, too.
Alex Rodriguez now 690 home runs. Bidding to become just the 4th player to hit more than 700 in baseball history. Already he's 4th on that list. He passed up Willie Mays last year. 1-2 now. Looper into center. That's going to fall for a base hit. Didn't quite get that one in where he'd gotten the other ones. McCann able to shovel it out into center. And a 2-out home run, a 2-out single. Now Starlin Castro coming up. McCann with the 3rd base hit of the night for the Yankees. Martin Perez not particularly thrilled with the outcome of the last 2 hitters. If he can't make sure this doesn't get out of control, his concentration a little bit off right now as he was getting set to start from the windup. So you can tell when a pitcher does that, his mind is not on what he's doing, it's on what just happened. To get back in the present and worry about going after this next hitter. Base hit to center field. McCann will stop at second. 3 consecutive 2-out base hits. A run across, 2 aboard for Chase Headley. And Doug Roquel going to go out and slow things down a little bit. Well, Martin Perez and Ryan Holiday out there to join in. Doug Roquel saying, "Okay, just settle down here. Let's get a plan. What we're going to do with Chase Headley. You got him on a ground ball the first time. Let's execute a good pitch here and come on back to the dugout." Hits and runs even at 4 hits and 2 runs for each team. Headley a 154 average now after an 0 for 1. Headley had played his entire major league career with the San Diego Padres until that trade we talked about year before last. A ball and a strike. Besides tonight, the only other at bat Headley had against Martin Perez, he left the ballpark with it. 1 for 1 with that home run. Now the 1-1 pitch. Instead, he steps off, and Martin wants to talk to Ryan Holiday. Headley this season, runners in scoring position, just 2 for 16. Good fastball to the outside corner. Our Steel pitch tracker showing you that right at the bottom and on the corner. 1-2 the count. McCann at second, Castro at first, as Perez sets. This is the pitch. You want to go after him right now. You don't want to go to 3-2 and give the hitter a chance to really zero in, and you get the runners moving with that pitch. Come back and try it again at 2 balls and 2 strikes. That last pitch, by the way, the 60th of the evening for Martin Perez. Had a very quick first inning, had a very quick third inning. The second and this fourth inning, not quite so much. Weekly hit. Alberto to Perez, covering. Nice, they get it.
Nice play.
Teaming up very well, Hanser Alberto and Martin Perez. That'll do it. But Alex Rodriguez, with his 3rd home run of the year, gets the Yankees back even. We'll go to the bottom of the 4th. Rangers 2, Yankees 2. Fox Sports Southwest. Fourth, Elvis Andrus leading things off for the Rangers, bottom third of the Ranger order. And our TXU Energy Power player to watch, walking to home plate right now. Elvis, 10 for 22 against Sabathia in his career. That's a .455 average. Highest average against any pitcher that he's faced 20 or more times. Can't pick a much better guy to have good success against. Talked about Elvis, though, over his career, and he has had some pretty good numbers against some of the tougher pitchers in the American League. Sabathia right in there with Weaver and Felix Hernandez. Seems like every time the Rangers face a real tough pitcher that Elvis has good numbers against them. Off the end of the bat to left field, Gardner in a hurry and makes the catch. Nice sliding catch by Brett Gardner. 1 out.
They hung up just long enough for him. And they had to lay out and make the play.
First baseman, Hanser Alberto.
Got a pretty good read on that for being off the end of the bat, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He did. It's one of those dives on a ball that's about waist high, but it looked good.
Here's Hanser Alberto, who got an RBI and Tampa right back to the mound. Give thanks to Ryan Rua for getting an RBI on that, as Rua at third base did a great job of base running.
Yeah, 2 good examples in that same inning when he went first to third and then scoring on the tapper back to the mound. That was about as good as it gets as far as base running goes.
No balls and a strike. And 0-2. Our AT&T high-speed internet replay, and here's that play. Or those plays. Base hit for Rua, puts him on first. Odor to left center. Just kept on going, and here's that play with Sabathia looking him back. He didn't quite look him back far enough. Rua got a pretty good read on Sabathia, took off.
Well, he got far enough off where Sabathia couldn't have got him at third, but he never went back. He just kind of held his ground right there, and the second Sabathia turned and went to first, he took off and beat the throw easily. Heads up play.
Yep. Very aggressive base running all the way around for the Rangers, and they've been very good at that. Another 0-2 pitch. Unless you've noticed, Hanser Alberto does not take a lot of pitches that are close. He's going up there to swing.
See, I'm not getting a chance to play every day. I'm going to swing at anything I can.
Well, Hanser, the Dominican Winter League batting champion from this past winter. Got him swinging as Sabathia took something off.
Well, you mentioned, Buzz, that Sabathia doesn't have his fastball that he had when he was younger, but on any given night, he still knows how to pitch. The Rangers knocked him around a little bit last year. And in this ball game, they've gotten a couple of runs. They got a few hits, but doing a pretty good job of mixing it up and keeping the Ranger hitters off balance. Still a pro out there.
No, two-way base is empty. Here's Brian Holliday. Holliday walked and scored in the third inning. Nothing and 1. Brian with hits in 2 of his last 3 ball games that he's played, making his 10th start of the year for the Rangers tonight. Oh, and 2. Brian Holliday, the TCU alum. Grew up in Dallas, now lives over in the TCU area. A ball and 2 strikes. Rangers picked up Brian Holiday the last week of spring training this year, the 29th of March to be exact, from the Tigers. And Chris Jimenez go down with an infection in his ankle and needed some backup help. That's when they went out and got Brian Holiday. He's caught looking here as Sabathia nails down the outside corner with that breaking ball. 2 strikeouts in the inning. Rangers gone in order after 4. Rangers 2, Yankees 2 on Fox Sports Southwest. Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines and by Mazda. Now Martin Perez back to the hill. He's working to Ronald Torreyes to start off this 5th inning, a 2-2 ball game. Torreyes flied to pretty deep center field his first time. Batting in that number 9 slot. 1 ball and 1 strike. Yankees still without Aaron Hicks in the outfield, and that has created some problems for Joe Girardi. Having to have Carlos Beltran out there on virtually an every night basis. That's exactly the other possibility, but it's taken away some of the Yankee depth and forced Joe to go to some lineups that he'd rather not use all the time. Still 1-2. 3 different organizations just last year. Houston and Toronto and the Dodgers. Yankees got him in January of this year from the Dodgers. Tyler Olson along with Torreyes. Another 1-2 pitch. Perez fires a strike. The hands are Alberto. 1 out. Vance Buckner International presents Christie music sensation Toby Mac following the Blue Jays Rangers game. That's on Sunday, May 15th. Head to TexasRangers.com/concerts. You get game tickets and information on how you can see the Toby Mac show from the field. Back to the top of the Yankee order. It'll be Jacoby Ellsbury, who is 0 for 2. He was robbed last time. A great diving stop by Rougned Odor. Out of play to the left. Ellsbury took an 0 for 4 last night. That season average, as you can see, at 247. Yankees as a team hitting 238 coming into play tonight. That's 11th in the American League. They're next to last in runs scored with 70. 1-2 after the foul ball. Perez at 70 pitches, 48 strikes, 22 balls. It's been an inconsistent outing, I guess you could say, for Martin Perez. One good inning, one bad inning. 2 gone. And if that holds true, this should be a good quick inning for him.
Left fielder Brett Gardner.
Brett Gardner coming up with the bases empty and 2 away.
He's definitely been tough on the left-hand hitters. McCann managed to dump a single into center field. He hit into a double play, though, with first and second, nobody out. Gardner and Ellsbury are 0 for 5 so far.
And Gardner's been called out on strikes and fly to right. Nothing in 1. Perez back to the plate. And again, right back to him.
Seen that one before.
Yep. 3 quick outs in succession here in the 5th inning. Yankees gone in order. Halfway through the ball game tonight. It's the Rangers 2 and the Yankees 2 on Fox Sports Southwest.
Very special day today, and here's Denny Matthews to tell you all about it.
The pitch to Freehan. Popped up! Busby has pitched a no-hitter! And everybody on the Royals team pouring out toward Busby. They are mobbing in between the pitcher's mound and second base. So the first no-hitter in Royals history has been pitched by Steve Busby.
That's pretty good. Hall of
Thank you,
Famer
guys.
Denny Matthews with that call.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
That was great.
Oh, man.
Have you heard Denny's call
I hadn't
before?
heard Denny's call. No, who did I have? Oh, Ernie Harwell gave me his call of the ninth inning, which I treasured it to this day. And of course, Ernie, another Hall of Famer. But I had never heard Denny's call. That's great.
That was a good call.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Now, 1 out as Delino DeShields opens up the 5th inning by grounding to short. Now here's Nomar Mazara, who is 0 for 1, a walk and a strikeout. A little bit low with a breaking ball. Mazara, 358 as he faces Sabathia. 1 out, nobody on in the 5th inning. A 2-2 ball game. Hits are even at 4. A ball and a strike. Talked about Nomar being up among the rookie leaders in the American League, and we showed you the batting average. He's first in average, and he's also first in runs scored with 10. He's had 6 multi-hit games. That's tied for first. Second in hits with 19, and 4th in total bases. So here's a guy that showed up 8 days after the season started, and he still accumulated those numbers. He has had a terrific start to what's going to be a great major league career. Out of play, and the count remains a ball and 2 strikes. You know, the Yankees continuing to shift defensively against Nomar Mazara. Reyes, the shortstop, the only one on the left side, but you can see what the numbers would tell you. The ground balls, 26%, either up the middle to the right of second base or to the second base spot. Although admittedly that's not a big sample. Nomar only in the lineup since the 10th of the month. But apparently they feel it's enough of a sample to go with the minor league information they had on him and run the shift out there. Slowly hit down the first baseline, and Teixeira will make the play. 2 gone.
Third baseman.
Mazara 0 for 2, and Adrian Beltre coming up. Looks like Sabathia is settling in pretty nicely now. He's retired the last 6 Rangers that he has faced. Beltre last time had an RBI single. Sorry, Tom.
I was going to say he had a couple of starts against the Rangers last year. Gave up 11 earned runs in 7 1/3. But with a veteran guy like him, and on any given night, he can still pitch a great game. He's not going to pitch like he used to, but doing plenty well tonight. Well enough tonight.
And as is true, I think, for against most veteran hitters, you have opportunities early in the ballgame and don't maximize those opportunities, meaning get him out of the ballgame. He can turn around and start pitching extremely well, which it looks like he has. Dropping in that breaking ball now with increasing frequency. 1-2 to Adrian. One ball and 2 strikes, and you can pretty well tell by the lack of solid contact the Rangers have had in the last almost 2 full innings now that CC is starting to get him off balance a little bit, mixing his pitches and location.
Yeah, he's definitely not throwing many pitches near the center of the plate up in the strike zone. He's painting the corners and hitting the bottom of the strike zone, all around the strike zone, but not much in the middle of the strike zone.
1-2. Sabathia reading the signs from Brian McCann. Well, if anybody can expand their zone enough to go after a guy that's working just off the corners, it would be, my pick would be the guy on your screen right there.
Yeah, he can definitely do that, especially if it's high.
Got him swinging. Good breaking ball. And Sabathia now has 4 strikeouts in the night. Rangers gone. It's a 2-2 game after 5.
The pitch to Freehan. Popped up. Busby is pitched to no-hitter. And everybody on the Royals team pouring out toward Busby. They are mobbing him between the pitcher's mound and second base. So the first no-hitter in Royals history has been pitched by Steve Busby.
Carlos Beltran leading off the top of the 6th inning against Martin Perez, and he takes ball 1. Now this is an important inning for Perez. This is the part of the lineup and the even inning too that has given him trouble tonight. Beltran lined to right last time up, struck out his first time up. From there on, Teixeira's had a walk and scored. Rodriguez had a home run. McCann had a single. Castro's had 2 singles. He's driven in a run. So if Martin can work through efficiently in this frame, break all those bad stigmas that are going on. 2-1 pitch. 2-2. Good pitch to the outside corner. Steele showing you that right on the outside corner.
A 2-0 changeup right there and a fastball right after it.
Line drive out of the reach of Elvis into left center field. Beltran didn't hit it hard, but he hit it in the right spot. He's aboard with the leadoff single. And let's go over and check in with Jim Knox.
Oh, I appreciate it, Buzz. This is the scene before the game. The Fox Sports Fan Express rolling in from the great town of Texarkana, and on board plenty of outstanding listeners for Fox Radio Texarkana. And of course, the Italian Stallion, Tom, is back right here, and you got a big crowd with you, huh?
We do, and we're honoring our officers in the Texarkana area. We have Christy Bennett from the Texarkana, Arkansas Police. Honorable mention. She's the only Arkansas police officer to win this award. She's going to be honored by President Obama in May. And I have Kelly Dial, the chief of police from Nash, one of our suburbs. I brought my trainer, William, from Title Boxing Club in Arlington, Texas, and he taught me the 1-2s of boxing.
You're in fighting shape then. Okay, you got to pick
1, 2. 1, 2. Oh, man. 2. Yeah. We're going to knock out the Yankees. Hello to
Stallion
Mitzi
is
in New Orleans.
All right, Stallion, calm down. Let's just root those Rangers on, all right? All right, take it easy. Take it easy.
Actually, you got to get some headgear on down there.
Big gloves he's featuring, too.
Well, 2-1 the count to Teixeira. 1 on, nobody out. A 2-2 ball game here in the top of the 6th inning. Teixeira lined to first his last time up. The change up. Well done by Martin. 2-2 the count. Remember Mark Teixeira, 2003 to 2007. Member of the Rangers. Could it be 2? They can turn it. Odor gets it done. 6-4-3. Double play number 32. Turned by the Rangers. They're second tonight behind Martin Perez.
That's such a weapon for Martin. You got a man on first base, just throw that sinker down around the knees, and it seems like more often than not it results in a ground ball double play. That one really wasn't down. That was just a ground ball anyway.
Well done. That empties the bases now. And here's Alex Rodriguez, who had a solo home run his last time up. Imperative now that you keep the ball out of the middle of the plate to Rodriguez. You make good pitches in or good pitches away, you're going to get him most times. But that pitch that he hit out was pretty much in the middle. Well, that got in on him, and he shoots it the other way into the corner. Mazara over to dig it out, and into second with a double is Alex Rodriguez.
Those last 2 pitches that Martin threw were 95, and the last one, a little extra, 96 miles an hour. Well, I can't say he was going that way. That ball happened to go that way. This is a 96 mile an hour fastball, and he was just laid on it, looked up and said, whoa, ball's fair. I got a chance for a double.
I believe you call that a shank, don't you?
Well, it was a successful shank.
Yeah, it was.
It didn't go out of bounds.
It
stayed in play.
Yeah. That's a case of making a good pitch and not having it turn out well.
Right.
But, that's not the first time, and Alex Rodriguez has had that happen to him over the years.
It shows that there's a little bit extra in the tank when Martin needs it, too. He kind of cruises along at 93, but he has gotten in his kitchen today, boy.
Broken bat pop up.
Every pitch is in there.
Rougned Odor takes care of it. So the Yankees 2 hits in the inning, but they strand 1. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th. Rangers coming up in a 2-2 ball game on Fox Sports Southwest. It's time now for the Sonic Slam inning, brought to you by Sonic. Tonight's jackpot is worth $1,800 and dinner for two at Sonic Drive-In. If a Ranger hits a home run during this inning, Lori Holster from Fort Worth will win $1,800. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam during the inning, Lori is going to take home $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Ian Desmond starting things off for the Rangers. It'll be Desmond, Rua, and Odor to face CC Sabathia. Sabathia has retired the last 7 that he has faced. Desmond, in a little infield single, topper down the third baseline his last time up. 1 out of 2 tonight. One ball and 1 strike. Desmond, at least in the regular season, had not faced Sabathia prior to this evening. Spending his time over the National League with the Nationals. 1-2.
Sabathia's had a good curveball today. Been able to drop that thing on the outside part of the plate quite frequently.
As we mentioned, this is CC Sabathia's 4th outing. His longest outing was his first one of the year against the Tigers. He went 6 innings. Other than that, he's had a couple of tough ones. C.B. Buckner shaking his head, then finally said, no, he didn't swing. Last 2 outings for Sabathia, 4 2/3 each outing. Once against Seattle, once against Tampa Bay. Gave up 3 earned runs in each of those. Now the left-hander with a 2-2. Full count. Well, Desmond trying to get aboard any way he possibly can, and he's been taking the walk lately. The walk rate has gone up along with his batting average. He's trying to get aboard in front of Ryan Rua.
Ian leads the team with 10 walks. 6 of them in his last 8 games.
Backdoor breaking ball got him looking. Desmond turning around to say something to Field and Colbreth. He thought that stayed outside, but Colbreth rang him up. 1 gone.
He came back and caught the plate right at the bottom of the strike zone, it looked like. Borderline pitch went Sabathia's way.
5 strikeouts now for Sabathia. And he has struck out 4 of the last 6 hitters that he's faced. Here's Rua, who was hit by a pitch last time up, singled and scored in the 2nd inning. Ryan taking that breaking ball that hung outside. Rua handling DH chores tonight. Again, nothing wrong with Prince Fielder or Mitch Moreland. Jeff Bannister just felt that with Sabathia on the mound, good day to give the 2 left-handed sluggers a night off. Get his right-handed lineup in there. He has all the right-handed hitters available to him in that lineup. There's Mitch. Two-0 pitch coming. Headley guns down Rua, 2 away. And before Rougned Odor steps in, let's send it over to Dana Larson for a Chevy game break. All right, Dana, thank you. Rangers and Yankees here deadlocked at 2. And Rougned Odor, 1 out of 2, steps in. Odor at 241 currently. A bit outside for ball 1. Sabathia ready to throw his 80th pitch of the night. And he leaves it inside, 2-0. Sabathia 51 strikes out of the 80 pitches this evening. Rugnet hitting out of that very familiar wide stance. Slightly open. Target set outside. Odor going that way, but slices it out of play. Now the 2-1. 3 balls and a strike. So Odor trying to get aboard here with 2 outs. Elvis Andrus in the on-deck circle, hoping to get a shot at CC in this inning. 9 consecutive batters retired by Sabathia at this point. Check swing. Did he go? No, he did not. And there is ball 4. So the Rangers, for the first time since the 3rd inning, have a base runner. 1 on, 2 out. Elvis Andrus coming up. A quick reminder that you can enjoy a post-game fireworks show this Friday that follows the Angels-Rangers game, the first game of that series. Fans using the online coupon code Fireworks can get upper-level tickets for just $14. And Friday night's post-game fireworks show will be a tune fest with musical themes from cartoon shows. Visit TexasRangers.com to purchase your tickets today. Well, here's Elvis, who has grounded out and lined softly to left field. Average at .333 for the Rangers shortstop. Last 9 games against the Yankees going back to last year, Elvis has hit .333. He has enjoyed the pitching in the Bronx. 1 ball, 1 strike. Sabathia kind of put this thing, the offense, under wraps there for a while, and Rangers trying to struggle their way through it.
Pretty good chances in the 2nd and 3rd. Left the bases loaded in the 3rd. I give CC a lot of credit. He's pitched a nice game tonight.
Yep.
Used his off-speed pitches very well. There's a changeup.
There's one of them right there.
Yeah. Got a good curveball. There's a changeup. Has not given the Rangers much in the way to hit as far as fastballs go. And, you know, it's pretty obvious the Yankees' game plan in this series is to throw the Rangers off-speed pitches. Evaldi, especially in the first game, he was throwing 97 miles an hour and was throwing more off-speed pitches. Last night, Severino really didn't have an off-speed pitch.
Right.
And so the Rangers were able to time him pretty well, but Sabathia is a crafty left-hander now. Oh, he had second base stolen.
Yeah.
But with 2 strikes, not much Elvis could do. And Sabathia tonight really is not given a lot of good fastballs to hit. One was to Odor that he pulled about 390 feet foul down the left field line with the bases loaded. But not much in the way of a good fastball to hit tonight.
Well, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Odor back to first. Infield behind Sabathia, a couple of steps around to the left. The outfield playing Elvis slightly around to the right. Blowing outside, and the count evens. Good look at the defensive alignment. Ellsbury in center field, maybe 4 steps toward right center. And Brian McCann going to go out and ask CC exactly what he wants to do on this 2-2 pitch. The important pitch from the bat when you get this far. You don't want, especially with 2 outs and a runner on, to go to 3-2. It gives too many options. Joe Girardi making a phone call. I don't think he's checking on the bus after the ball game. See if it's ready. bullpen now just starting to stir ever so slightly. Sabathia ready.
Yeah, if it gets to the point where Girardi's calling for the team bus in the middle of the game, they're going to be looking for a new traveling secretary.
Yeah, the left-hander again with the belt high set. Toward right center. That is going to be trouble if it gets by Beltre, and it does. It's all the way to the wall. Here comes Odor. He will score. Elvis motoring around to third, an RBI triple. And the Rangers go back on top 3-2.
There was a day 4 or 5 years ago where Beltran might have been able to cut that ball off, but at this stage of his career, he wasn't able to cut that ball off. And when you look at Elvis coming into the game as the second leading hitter in the league at 340, one of the things he's doing is he's doing an exceptional job of not hitting fly balls. His fly balls go about 350 feet, and most of them are outs. But he's hit a lot of ground balls and a lot of line drives just like that. And that's exactly what he has to do. As we've said many times, he's not a home run hitter, and hitting fly balls is just a way to go for one. And he's doing a great job now of hitting the ball on the line or on the ground and getting his hits.
Well, Alberto pops up the first pitch, and that will do it. But Elvis Andrus with the RBI triple. It's the Rangers out in front. They score a run on one hit and lead one. We'll go to the 7th inning. It's now the Rangers 3, the Yankees 2 on Fox Sports Southwest. Our Ford game summary tonight. Starlin Castro got things started for the Yankees. A base hit to right in the second, and that put the Yankees on top. Adrian Beltre answered with his RBI single in the 3rd inning, a 1-1 ball game. Alex Rodriguez with his 3rd home run of the year, deep into the night next to the bullpen. Yankees on top. That was home run number 390. But then Elvis plugged that gap in right center all the way to the wall. Rougned Odor scored from first. Rangers on top once again. As we head to the 7th, it is a 3-2 Ranger advantage. And Jake Diekman has come out of the Ranger bullpen to take over here in the 7th inning.
The Rangers have 3 triples. Elvis has all 3 of them. He leads the American League in triples now after that last one.
I think I said I shorted A-Rod about 300 home runs. I said 390. I was looking at the sign that said 390 where it went out. 690 home runs for Alex Rodriguez. Starlin Castro, 2 for 2 tonight. Had the RBI, as we showed you, back in the second inning to open the scoring. Also singled in the fourth inning. One pitch. Odor gobbles it up, throws out Castro, 1 away. Now, Jake Diekman has been extremely tough this year. This is his 11th outing. I'll tell you about that in a second. We'll remind you that a Coca-Cola Family Pack offers you savings of up to 50% on tickets, food, Kids Zones access, souvenir programs, and Coke soft drinks. A Family Pack is an ideal way to catch the Rangers when they play the Angels this Sunday, May 1st. Visit TexasRangers.com/specials to get your Coca-Cola Family Packs today. Chase Headley fouling it straight back. And say Diekman has allowed a grand total of 2 hits in his 6 1/3 innings. He has not allowed an earned run, and he has struck out 7. Diekman really dominating from that bullpen. He's worked in the 7th inning, as he is tonight. He's worked in the 8th inning, and on occasion in the 9th inning at times. He's had 4 outings, less than an inning, where he's worked either 1/3 or 2/3. And spotting up against tough left-handers. Headley 0 for 2, a couple of ground outs. 2-1 the count. Rangers captain, keep an eye on things. Wanted to make sure that everybody in attendance is watching the game. Said, no, come on. Keep your eye out there. I'm going to take this from you until you watch the game. Elvis, 1 step to his left, pounds the back of his glove. 2 gone.
A good swing by Headley. He timed that fastball nicely. Just picked the wrong spot to hit it. Hit a ball that hard. There's only one way you're going to make it out, if it goes right at somebody. And that one went right at Elvis.
It's like Elvis having the same deal with his webbing. That didn't quite come as far as the ball on Beltre's glove the other night.
It's sneaking through, though.
Yeah, it's poking his...
Maybe 1/3 of that ball went through. About half of it went through Adrian's.
Poking his nose through that webbing, isn't it? Oh, 2 up, 2 away. Ronald Torres, the number 9 hitter, 0 for 2. Takes ball 1. Torres, a .421 average in limited play. 2 balls, no strikes. Rangers on the strength of an RBI triple in the bottom of the 6th inning by Elvis Andrus, taking a 3-2 lead. Yankees about hit the Rangers 6-5. 2-1. Torres doesn't get cheated, does he?
No, he's swinging the bat pretty nice.
Jake Diekman, the 29-year-old from Nebraska, trying to pump himself up a little bit. Good fastball there at 96 with a little movement on it. 2-2. Crowd now starting to get into it as we play in the top of the 7th inning. Foul back. They really want to start clapping, but they feel like it's maybe an inning too early to clap for the last out. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Diekman set to go. 3-2. Torreyes hitting 9th in the order. If he's able to get aboard, then the top of the order, Jacoby Ellsbury in that on-deck circle. Ryan Holiday says, give me that fastball right down here. We'll try it again. Diekman comes set. Another 3-2 pitch. Right center field. Plenty of room, though, for Delino DeShields to roam to his left. And that'll do it. So Diekman works a perfect 7th inning. We're going to take the stretch at Globe Life Park in Arlington. The Rangers on top of the Yankees 3-2.
On to a 3-2 lead as we head to the bottom of the 7th here at Globe Life Park in Arlington, and University Days roll on this season at the Globe, and this one is my favorite. Texas Tech night here at the ballpark May 13th, but you have to have a special ticket to get one of these hats, and there are only 3,000 available. So go to texasrangers.com/Texas Tech to get your ticket for University Night Texas Tech style on May 13th, fellas. Get your guns up.
You got to be a Texas Tech X to wear that hat like that. That looked good on you.
Thanks, Buzz.
Johnny Barbado, a 23-year-old right-hander out of Miami. On now, and he can, as you can see, rush at the home plate in a hurry, and he's facing Ryan Holiday to start things off. Barbado had not given up a run in his first 6 major league games till last time out. Gave up a run finally. Scored upon, but a 161 opponent's batting average. He has had some success, and well, he joins a bullpen that throws as hard as any bullpen you're going to see.
Yeah, wait till Chapman comes back. I'm glad we're playing 3 games against the Yankees without him.
And when Chapman comes back, he'll slot in as the closer eventually.
That's pretty good when you can come in and be the closer. When Andrew Miller saved like 36 or 37 games last year, he's just about untouchable. Betances could easily be a closer.
Yep.
Brett Nicholas took him deep in the first game for Brett's first major league home run, the only run that Betances has given up in April.
3-1, the count to Holiday. Is pulled foul right by Spike Owen down there at third. And the count goes full. So Holiday trying to get aboard to start off this Rangers seventh. Delino DeShields is next. Rangers leading 3-2. There's a happy young man. Bad part is now he's going to think that every time he goes to the ballpark he's supposed to get one of those. Out of play. Barbato again, a 3-2 pitch. That ball's hit high in the air, deep into the left field corner. Gardner, though, has room and makes the catch for out number one. So Holiday gave it a pretty good ride. Came up about 10 feet shy of the track. And now Delino DeShields. Now before Delino steps in, let's get it over to Dana Larson for a Chevy game break. All right, Dana, thank you. Well, the Southsiders are putting it together, aren't they?
Well, they pitched well against the Rangers, and the Rangers didn't see Chris Sale. Rodon pitched a really good game. Quintana pitched a great game. Quintana pitched today, didn't give up a run. Sale pitched yesterday, was dominating. Matt Latos looks like he's, you know, back to resembling the pitcher that he was at one time. They've got a good rotation. They haven't hit much early in the year. They're starting to hit now, though. Started to heat up a little bit against the Rangers, and now up in Toronto they're scoring runs.
When you don't give up any runs, you can get by without hitting too much.
You can
win a few
and
ball
they
games.
did.
1 ball and 1 strike to Delino, who has had a sacrifice bunt. 0 for 2 officially tonight.
You know, the season was beginning to start when they had that controversy with Adam LaRoche not being able to have his son in the locker room as much as he wanted. Adam LaRoche quit and went home. A lot of players seemed like they were slightly divided, if you believe what you read in the press. Some people sticking up for him, some people whose names weren't mentioned didn't like the fact that his son was always in the clubhouse. Anyway, it looked like a pretty good controversy, but it hasn't done anything to hurt the way they've played in April.
Delino after the foul ball now. The count even at 2 balls, 2 strikes, facing Johnny Barbato. Barbato originally a San Diego Padres draft pick back in 2010. Took him out of high school and then came over to the Yankees in a trade prior to last season. Sean Kelly went to San Diego, and Barbato came to the Yankees. Got him swinging. Pretty sharp breaking ball, and Barbato gets a strikeout, 2 away. Omar Mazara coming up.
We add Chapman to the mix, which pushes Betances down to the 7th inning, and then you put Barbato in there somewhere around the 6th inning, throwing the mid-90s with that hard slider. He struck out 12 in 9 2/3 innings. That's some kind of power bullpen. And more teams are starting to put together those kinds of bullpens.
Right.
The Rangers feel like they have the same kind of a bullpen.
Well, the thing about the Rangers, too, they're getting good enough starting pitching to where they don't have to wear the bullpen out, you know, night in and night out. You remember the last couple of years, the bullpen has really had to work overtime, especially early in the year. And, boy, that just ruins the pen for the majority of the season.
The starters have now had 22 straight games with at least 5 innings.
Yeah. And add on another quality start turned in tonight by Martin Perez. 0-2 to Mazara. High in the air, hit well to center field, but Ellsbury back, stopping right at the edge of the warning track and makes the catch. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Johnny Barbado. Rangers gone in order. We have finished 7 innings here at Globe Life Park. The Rangers on top of the Yankees, 3-2 on Fox Sports Southwest.
Globe Life Park, Buzz and Tom, time for the Progressive. And we got to get the man. Also, we'll share with Stacy. 2 great mothers from Brock, Texas. And who did they come to the game? Who did they bring to the game? Of course, all these little guys, right? Because they're great moms. Congratulations. We're giving you guys the Progressive bag. Anything you guys like to say, huh?
We love the Rangers. We love Mom.
Oh, love Mom. Very nice. All right. Way to go, Mom.
Early Mother's Day present for him. That's nice. Well, Jake Diekman back out to the hill. Worked a perfect 1-2-3 7th inning. Now facing the left-handers and Jacoby Ellsbury and Brett Gardner to start the 8th. Rangers on top 3-2. Fouled back by Ellsbury, and the count is 1 ball and 1 strike. Ellsbury tonight has twice grounded out to Rougned Odor and once struck out. Odor made a great play on him in the 3rd inning, having to dive to his left to spear a hot shot. Got up and threw him out. Again, the Ranger defense playing superbly here tonight. They are among the league leaders in defense. Coming into play tonight, the Rangers 3rd best in the American League percentage-wise at .987, only 10 errors. Sam Dyson loosening in that Ranger pen. 1-2 to Ellsbury. Just able to get a little piece of that off-speed pitch from Diekman. You know, we talk about the Yankee bullpen, how many good arms they have. Rangers are no slouches in that respect. You got guys, Jake Diekman down there and Sam Dyson, Tom Wilhelmsen, picked cleanly by Hanser Alberto, 1 out. But they can, Rangers can match up pretty well, arm strength-wise, with anybody. Those arms. Well, Brett Gardner coming up. A quick reminder for you: the Rangers play the Toronto Blue Jays on Saturday, May 14th. First 15,000 fans to the ballpark will receive a Rougned Odor bobblehead, courtesy of Dr. Pepper and Kroger. Visit TexasRangers.com to purchase your tickets, and do that today, or you can call 972 Rangers if you prefer. Here's Gardner, who is 0 for 3. Fly out, ground out, and strikeout. Good fastball from Diekman for strike 1. Crowd getting a little more active now. They kind of sense this thing coming down to crunch time at the ballpark. 35,477 on hand here this evening. Kind of suspect that last night we would have had that kind of a crowd had the rain not threatened. Couldn't check his swing in time. Gardner with a pained look back at Fielding Culbreth, who was ringing that right hand up. 0-2.
No, Jake trying to mow down 5 straight. He's thrown 22, 23 pitches. Kind of an extended outing for him. He's had some outings where he's pitched an inning or a little bit less. But this one with Ellsbury and Gardner coming up in the 8th inning, back-to-back left-hand hitters, he's staying in to try to get these lefties out.
Couldn't get Gardner to fish for that low breaking ball. It's 1-2. Yeah, it'd be interesting if Brett Gardner is out for the second out, whether you would have him pitch to Carlos Beltran. Beltran a little bit better from the left side of the plate than the right side. Beltran, of course, a switch hitter, and in a 1-run game, I'm not sure you'd want to turn him around to hit left-handed against a right-hander. 1-2 pitch. Again, Gardner checking his swing. Mentioned Brett Gardner, one of the choosiest hitters, if you will, in all of baseball. Swing rate, number of pitches he swings at. He swings at those at a rate of less than 30%. So he's not up there just trying to see something and let the bat head fly. Fastball, call, strike 3. Brian Holiday got so excited he was ready to go to the dugout. Had to say, wait a minute, Brian, we still have to get one more out. Sheepish grin on Holiday's face. Hey, that happens.
He's pumped up. He's concentrating on the moment.
Cricket Wireless, I'd like to show you something to smile about here.
Whoops. He made a good comeback, though.
Yeah, tried to disguise it. Hopefully nobody saw it, but
he took 3 quick steps.
Can't quite get away with that. You notice the first place he looked was down to third base. See if Beltre had seen him, and you know that Adrian saw it.
Oh, yeah.
Not too much slips by the wily veteran. Well, Carlos Beltran, 1 for 3 tonight. Singled his last time up. And the pitch low and in. 2 balls and no strikes. Beltran 1 for 2 with a double against Jake Diekman. Infield shading Beltran slightly around to the left, couple of steps toward the hole. Elvis Andrus. Fly ball to left, that is going to stay in the ballpark. Camped underneath it, Ian Desmond, and that will do it. 6 up, 6 down for Jake Diekman. Yankees gone in the 8th after 7.5. It's the Rangers 3 and the Yankees 2 on Fox Sports Southwest.
Rockies 3-2 as we head to the bottom of the 8th. This is the finale of a 3-game series between the Yankees and the Rangers. It's an off day tomorrow. Then Friday, we open up a 3-game set against Albert Pujols and the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. There you see a couple of the heavy hitters in this one with Pujols and Adrian Beltre and some of their distinguished numbers. Friday, 7 o'clock, right here on Fox Sports Southwest. A big thank you to the folks at AT&T High-Speed Internet for getting us ready for the opener between the Angels and the Rangers on Friday, guys.
All right, Em, thank you. Well, the Sluggers just keep on coming to Globe Life Park. Alex Rodriguez with 690 home runs, and he's followed in by Albert Pujols, 13th all-time on the round-tripper list. Here's another slugger, Adrian Beltre, leading off the Ranger 8th inning. 2 balls and no strikes. Johnny Barbado, who had a 1-2-3 7th, stays in the ballgame. Beltre, a single and an RBI in the 3rd tonight. Two and one. Rangers tonight have scored single runs in the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 6th. Yankees, meanwhile, single runs in the 2nd and 4th. Two and two. Sean Tollison. And it's been a while since we've seen Tolly. Last Thursday night, the last outing that he had, it was against Houston. He's getting ready for that 9th inning. The 2-2 pitch coming to Beltre. Adrian decides to let it go. He doesn't hold anything back, does he?
Yeah, he pretty much decides that most of the times he swings. Yeah, well, he doesn't hold back very often.
Barbado set, and another 2-2 is coming. We haven't seen that in a while.
Not by him. We've seen it from a couple other guys in the league, though. Seen 2 hitters. I can't remember who they were, but in both cases, when the opposing hitter, they didn't do it quite with that kind of flair. There's no way they ended up like that. That follow through is pretty much unmatchable. But Adrian had a big smile when the other guys did it.
Reyes on to first, and Beltre out. 1 gone. Ian Desmond will be next. That looked like Adrian was posing for a statue when he went down to 1 knee. Kind of like a synchronized batting move. Watch this.
Get a lot of style points for this swing.
Yeah.
It's not over yet. There.
There.
That's the follow through.
There could be a statue in that somewhere.
You know, you have to say that swing has never been matched in the annals of baseball history.
That's true.
No one could ever have done that before.
Ian Desmond, a base hit in 3 trips. He takes a fastball for strike 1. Desmond at .216 with the average. Again, on a pretty steady climb now up the ladder. Oh, 1 pitch. 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, you take a look down in the on-deck circle. You have the designated hitter spot, Ryan Rua, due up, but it's not going to be a complete off night for Prince Fielder. He's grabbed a bat. He's loosening in the on-deck circle. Desmond trying to get a board for the big guy. 2 and 1. The Rangers able to work Sabathia for 3 walks in his 6 innings of work tonight. So far, Johnny Barbado has retired the 4 Rangers that he has faced. But Desmond ahead of the count at 2 and 1. young man able to throw something other than a fastball on a fastball count. And Ranger bench to cheer on the guys, bring home another series win. The only series the Rangers have lost here at home this year was the opening series against the Mariners. Three and two. Has been eyeballing that one just low out of the strike zone. Joe Girardi in his 9th year at the helm of the Yankees. The full count pitch coming. Try it again. Rangers felt they really got a steal when they're able to get Desmond just after the start of spring training. And a free agent agreed to a one-year deal with him, and he also agreed that if he came over here, he would play left field, and he has done a very good job at doing that. Castro, the second baseman, throws out Desmond by half a step. There are two gone, and here comes Fielder. Now let's take a look at our Jimmy John's delivery of the night. And it was a dandy as Elvis plugged the gap in right center field for the go-ahead RBI. Elvis with his 13th RBI of the year, and Jimmy John's couldn't deliver it any better than Elvis did. So with Prince Fielder announced as the pinch hitter, Jason Shreve is coming in out of the Yankee bullpen. So it'll be left-hander against left-hander. When we come back, we'll take a timeout. We're back to Globe Life Park right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Left-hander Jason Shreve on for the second straight night. This is 9th ball game of the year. 1-1 his record, a 3.68 ERA. Came in last night and gave up a home run to Rougned Odor. He's asked tonight to come in to face Prince Fielder, the pinch hitter, with the bases empty and 2 away in the 8th inning. Fielder did not face Shreve last night. He has faced him in 2 other occurrences. 1 out of 2, as you can see. That one left the ballpark for Prince. Couple of home runs for the big guy, and he hits a rocket, but flagged down by the second baseman, and Castro throws him out. So Fielder hit it hard, but right into the shift for the out. Rangers gone in 1-2-3 fashion. We're going to the 9th. It's tally time at Globe Life Park. 3-2 Rangers.
hoping for 3 uneventful outs from Sean Tollison as the Rangers look to finish off the New York Yankees here in the finale. Dana Larson here reminding you we've got Rangers Live, the post-game edition, coming up right after the game. We talked all about Elvis Andrus in the pregame, and we will be doing more of the same in the postgame with Mark McLemore and Pudge Rodriguez. We'll hear from the key players, Jeff Bannister, and set up the series with the Angels, which, guys, will include Cole Hamels. We'll have all of that and much more coming up right after the game, Buzz.
All right, Dana, thank you. We'll be watching that to get all the latest information on Cole Hamels and company. But first, Mark Teixeira facing Sean Tollison. And Tolly evens the count at a ball and a strike. Sean Tollison appearing in his 10th ball game, 6 for 7 in save opportunities this year, and 41 for 44 going back to when he took over as the closer last year on May 20th. He gets Teixeira. He hit a towering pop-up that Adrian Beltre is waiting for. That is out number 1.
Get that leadoff hitter. Well, Tolly comes into a point in the game where you probably got the 3 best home run threats in the game for the Yankees: Teixeira, Rodriguez, and McCann. A-Rod already has one today. Got a kind of an excuse me double down the right field line to go along with it, and a walk.
2 for 2 for Rodriguez. Rangers playing a no doubles defense in the outfield. As Tollison goes with the breaking ball and misses. See all 3 outfielders back about as deeply as you will ever see them in this ballpark. In the infield, 3 steps around to the left side. 1-0 pitch. Got him on the fist, and again, Rodriguez swinging a magical wand tonight. Able to shoot that to right field. A 1-out single. And the tying run is aboard for Brian McCann.
Sean got the ball in off the plate and jammed Rodriguez. He just kind of fought it off. A little semi-line drive to right field. Last time up, he did something similar, hit a ground ball right down the right field line.
Well, Aaron Hicks, who has been out of the lineup because of a jammed shoulder, that shoulder's not going to prevent him from being a pinch runner. He has great speed, so he comes on carrying the tying run at first. He is pinch running for Alex Rodriguez. Now Brian McCann, who's 1 for 3 tonight with a single. McCann 0 for 1 against Tollison. In with the off-speed pitch. McCann a .263 average here. Yankees always have notes about home runs away from Yankee Stadium, and McCann, the difference is striking. 52 home runs overall for McCann in his career. 37 of them at Yankee Stadium. A lot is said about the short porch in New York. Very much like Globe Life Park used to be talked about when the jet stream was in play here, blown out to right.
I think Yankee Stadium's even better than here now.
Oh, yeah, and now it is. Yeah, I agree. Good pitch inside and low. 0-2.
Martin Perez did a great job tonight on McCann. He ended up getting a hit, but he threw the ball in on his fist 3 straight times. He got a big double play in the 2nd inning after 2 straight walks with no outs.
Rangers in an overshift with McCann up there. Tollison driving Hicks back with a toss. See Beltre, the only Ranger on the left side of the diamond, and he's moving over now to the normal shortstop spot. Elvis and Odor kind of splitting distance from second to first. 0-2 as Tollison sets. Tried to go upstairs. That was a little too far upstairs. That was up on the roof. Tollison this year, 5 strikeouts in 7 innings of work. Used to have that one disastrous outing against Seattle here in the opening series. And his first blown save, gave up 5 runs and 5 hits without retiring a batter. And since then, he's only given up 1 other run, and that was against the Astros when closing out a ball game in the 9th inning. The run didn't mean anything. Gave up a walk. Nice block by Holiday. 2-2 now. Tollison picks out the sign he wants. Low and inside, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Couldn't get McCann to go after that 2 times in the same at bat. So Hicks at first with 1 out. McCann trying to join him aboard. Starlin Castro, the second baseman, in the on-deck circle. Payoff pitch. Ground ball up the middle. Elvis on the shortstop side of second had a long way to go. The only play he had is to first. And it's a good thing McCann, the catcher, was running.
I was a little bit worried about that one when you saw the location of the ball. Fortunately, it wasn't hit very hard. And the infielder had the chance to go over. Elvis had the chance to go over and make the play on it. But you're right, Buzz. It was a fast runner. I don't think he would have had time to make that play. And obviously, there's no one there to cover second base with that type of a shift on.
And without the shift, that's an easy double play.
Yeah, that's catch it, step on second,
exactly.
Lob it to first.
So, this crowd of 35,500 now rising to their feet. We got the tying run out at second base, 2 outs. And Sean Tollison taking on Starlin Castro. First matchup against each other for Castro and Tollison. Castro tonight 2 for 3 with an RBI. Pair of singles. Also grounded out to second. Outfield now comes in at a normal depth. And a swinging strike 1. And a cut fastball from John Tollison. Maybe a hard slider. I'm going to go with a cutter.
Okay. I might go with that pitch again.
Yeah.
Throw it about an inch farther outside.
Yeah. Castro at .293 average. Tried it. A little too far outside. Castro wouldn't go fishing for it. 1-1 the count. Castro, the former Chicago Cub, came over to play second base for the Yankees. Tollison peering in for the sign. He's ready to go. Out away. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Now the rest of the holdouts in the crowd on their feet. Everybody is up. They are putting their hands together for Sean Tollison and the Rangers. See if they can't close it out right here. Hicks the lead from second. Tollison to the plate, up and in. And Castro, who'd seen everything away, almost walked right into that pitch.
We've seen all breaking balls, and that one was a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. Tried to sneak it by him on the inside part of the plate.
Martin Perez, hoping that Sean Tollison can close this one out. Martin would get his first win. Rangers would have another series victory. The 2-2 pitch from Tollison. Poke to the right side. Odor ranges to his left. Throws it. He got him.
What a play.
And that is a winner. An outstanding all-around game for the Rangers. Superb defense, including that last play by Rougned Odor, the third such play he made tonight. Martin Perez gets off the 0 in the win column. He moves to 1-2, and Sean Tolleson with his 7th save in 8 opportunities. And the Rangers send the Yankees packing with a series win. They win the last 2 ball games of this 3-game series. So a very well-played ball game tonight. And this really capped it off for the Rangers.
Yeah, good pitch. It was a breaking ball, probably about 8 inches outside. Headed for the hole. Fortunately, it wasn't hit too hard. Rugi gets over, then has to throw while he's going toward the foul line. And he does it accurately. He gets Castro at first base. Tolleson gets the save. Perez gets the win. And the Rangers go into their off day, having won 2 straight.
And Martin Perez says, finally, that monkey is off my back. I can get down to work now. And Rougned Odor and Elvis Andrus, their normal post-win celebration. Now let's go down to the field. Emily Jones is standing by with one of those celebrants. That would be Elvis Andrus.
Yes, Elvis knows what's coming. Are you going to take your shoes off?
Yeah, I know what's coming, so.
He knows what's coming, so we were going to consider taking his shoes off. Elvis, the triple. You were frustrated in the first couple at-bats, had some opportunities, but you come through big when it matters. Tell me, take me through that at-bat.
Yeah, you know, I think my first 2 at-bat, I was too aggressive. I've been facing CC, you know, since 09, so, and I know he's not going to give up. And so that's what I'm trying to do. Hold on a second. Hold on.
He wants to take his shoes off. Shoes off. You guys are wising up now, yeah?
Yeah, that's cool. But no, I knew that he was going to try to go around the sun. You know, in that last at-bat, I was trying to just let the ball travel and use the other side of the field.
Starting pitching for you guys has been phenomenal. So has the defense. Can you talk about that tandem tonight, Martin's performance, and you guys backing him up?
Yeah, no, Martin's been tremendous. I think that he did the same job in Chicago, and you know, I was pretty pissed that we didn't give it enough offense. So, you know, I was glad to at least come through in that at-bat and, you know, give him the win because he's been pitching really well.
And then finally, Elvis, for you guys to bounce back after getting swept in Chicago, take this series against the Yankees, what does that do for your confidence?
It feels really good, especially with a day off tomorrow and knowing that we're playing an amazing baseball at home. I think we all getting that pride back. You know, every team that come here to Texas, they better play really good baseball to beat us. So that's the way we feel right now. And, you know, enjoy tomorrow and be ready for the next series.
Dry off. Go get your shoes. Up top. Bye, Elvis. Back up to you guys.
All right, Ann, thanks. Great stuff. Elvis going into that very happy clubhouse as the Rangers win 2 out of 3 from the Yankees. We'll be back to Globe Life Park with more right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.